My name is Gunnar Larsen. I'm the director of the Danish-UK Association. And on behalf of all the organizers, Norwegian British Chamber of Commerce, the Finnish British Chamber of Commerce, we would like to welcome you all to this session today. And in particular, welcome our host and presenter, Jessie Frahm, who will be giving a presentation on how to accelerate your brand experience. During the session, there will be a breakout, and this is going to be a new thing for us all, so we hope it will work well. But for now, maybe let me try to start the videos of your hosts in these sessions. So besides myself, it will be Deanne Linton from the Danish-UK Association. It will be Henrik Lundby Petersen from the DK-UK, Danish-UK Association, and Lotta from the Finnish British Chamber of Commerce, and then personally myself as well. And when we do the breakout, you will have the voice of one of us in your session, and we will try to lead the session of doing the breakout. At that point, we will also unmute you all, so we can have a little bit of a conversation going on in these breakout rooms before we reconvene, and we will mute everyone again. So I'm going to turn off the video for all. As mentioned, any questions, please feel free to enter them as you go along in the chat function. But maybe just as a starter, to get a feel for where you all are today, maybe I can get you to let me know where you're watching this. Where in the world are you? At home? Are you in the office? Are you one of the lucky ones who can still go to the office somewhere, or maybe have it at home? Please take a moment to enter it down in your chat function now and let everyone know. Hello, Anne. Welcome. Flavia, great to see you. Chelsea Harbour, nice. Abbots Langley. Tampere, hi Anna. And Lotta as well. Great. Aberdeen, Gavin, welcome. Good to see you here as well. So let me move on. Thomas, Oslo Fjord. Oh, that's lovely. I think we should all come out and work with you. Let me move on and introduce you to our presenter and host today, Jessie Frahm. She's in the video now. Through a career in advertising, she has roots in the creative industry where she's been developing global brands, both in strategic level as well as production of large-scale integrated campaign work. She runs her own business, Studio Roo, a creative agency which, besides producing advertising content, also helps clients to set up sustainable content studios right inside clients' businesses. Notably, she's created Arla Foods, The Barn, an in-house content studio. And among her clientele, you will also find world-renowned brands like the World Wildlife Foundation, Greenpeace, and McCormick. In 2019, she started her podcast series, Bosses for Breakfast, which is a marketeer's podcast where she speaks to specialists and visionaries across industries, and has so far included speakers like Morten Albeck, founder of Voluntas, previous CMO of Vestas, and currently the vice chair of Jonah Juice, as well as Rupert Bedell, VP Marketing for Amex, and there are plenty more. I can highly encourage you to look it up. Jessie is also a fellow member of the Danish-UK Association with her company, is part of the board and the Council for Young Professionals. So with that, I would like to give the word to you, Jessie, and take it from here. Welcome. Thank you, Jessie.
Thank you so much, Gunnar. That was a very kind introduction. And hey, everyone, I'm really excited to be online here with you guys. I don't think I mentioned it in the chat, but I'm working from home as well. So boyfriend and dog next door, and we are in here in the spare room. So yeah, glad you're joining me. Let's see if this works. It works. Excellent. So yeah, welcome to this course, which is the very first module of what I've called the Brand Catalyst course on how to create a profitable brand that attracts clients. And in this session, we'll dive into how to accelerate your brand experience through what's a tested and tried model, which we've used quite a few times across my work in advertising. So this is actually the very first session, and it's a 6-session course. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Just a quick overview of what we'll be running through today. So quickly, who am I? I think Gunnar did the most of it, but I'll still do it. The big why are we here today? And also we'll talk a bit about what does it mean to build a strong brand. Then we want to look a bit into a couple of contemporary brands and what they're doing really, really well when it comes to experience. And then I want to introduce a case study which we'll be working with as a part of the experience loop, which is what we'll be looking for that today. And then I'll obviously present the experience loop. We will do the team exercise, which I'm really excited about. It's the first time I've done it with this many people. And then I don't want to leave anyone empty-handed. I want to make sure you have a plan for when you leave the stream. So we'll be looking into that in what's next. So as Gunnar mentioned, I am Jessie. I'm the founder and CEO of Studio Roo, which is a small advertising agency that, besides producing strategically rooted content, supports a lot. I support large corporations on how to assess content production smarter and more effectively. So I'm a branding expert, and I've been leading production across many different global brands and also startups. Yeah, all sorts of brands. So I'm really excited to be your coach for the next hour. There's some contact details. Obviously, if there's any questions, feel free to use them. So the big why are we here today? Having a clear marketing strategy is key in maintaining a long-lasting and ever-present relationship with your customers and plays an essential role in increasing sales, growing your business, and engaging new clients. This session is aimed at branding professionals in small and large organizations and provides you with the first step in our toolbox to help to get your brand strategy right. So there's 4 main outcomes of this session. The first thing is that I'd like to give you all an action plan for how to identify business opportunities and barriers. Then I want to look into the framework to help you map out your consumer experience for engaging new and existing consumers or customers. Then I want to teach you how to identify patterns of pain points within your business. And then lastly, we want to look at how to identify short and long-term wins to activate your customers based on the patterns we found in the previous point. So how to build a strong brand, that's what we're going to talk about. What does it mean to build a strong brand? To build a strong brand, you need to have a plan in place. I have way too many clients who actually jump straight to conclusions on creating a vision, a mission statement, or a really swag tagline without having any strategic thinking behind it. Or they might even worse, don't think about those first elements, and then they just jump straight to production. So we decided that we're just going to produce something really nice for our social channels in a month. We're not having any strategy. So that's a big no-go. So in advertising, we divided into a 3-step journey. So firstly, getting your strategy right, which means knowing who your customer is and how and where to speak to them, and then know your brand story and what it is that you offer, so that's really in focus and is really understood by not just you but also your customers. So if you imagine an IKEA set, your strategy will be a toolbox. You need to know your tools and how to use each of them in order to assemble your furniture. So once you have all of that in place, you can start developing your creative ideas to get in front of the clients. And when you do that, you want to create either focus on awareness or focus on sales. And then lastly, we have production of concepts. So you want to make your ideas ready to go out on your strategically selected channels. And then once all these 3 steps are fulfilled, you can go live with your created content. Right, so customer experience, knowing your consumer, we want to ensure that we as a brand managers to reach new potential clients, as well as activating and engaging current users of our product. It's really important to identify what makes them excited about your product and what actually makes them run away. So just to really hammer it in here, a brand experience is a type of experiential marketing where you cleverly incorporate a holistic strategy for your company in order to influence the feeling a customer has about a particular product or brand name. So this means that by connecting and engaging with your target audience, this type of strategy will really help convert brand and awareness into brand loyalty. So before we're going into all the strategic frameworks and how to do this, I just wanted to get the creative juices flowing. So I have 3 very different examples. I don't want to talk too much. I just want to show it to you, and then I can talk a bit about it afterwards.
Elite distance runners have been closing in on a 2-hour marathon for more than a century. But the sport's last great barrier has proven elusive. For decades, the world's fastest times have fallen by mere seconds at a time. That was until earlier this year, when Eliud Kipchoge chopped a staggering 2 minutes and 32 seconds from the world's previous best time, coming just 25 seconds short of the 2-hour mark. But his time doesn't qualify for world record status. That's because Kipchoge's race wasn't an official marathon. It was more like a carefully controlled experiment. Members of Nike's Breaking 2 project spent 4 years and millions of dollars preparing 3 athletes for this race, optimizing everything from the shoes they wore to the course they raced on. Only Kipchoge came anywhere near Breaking 2. Understanding the science behind Kipchoge's race helps explain how he came so close, and why this one race could forever change the way elite athletes run marathons. One of the most controversial elements of the Breaking 2 project were the shoes. Kipchoge and the other runners ran in customized versions of the Vaporfly 4%, a shoe with a thick, springy sole and a carbon fiber plate that Nike claims can increase running economy by an average of 4%. But what does that 4% figure actually mean? And where did it come from?
I'm Roger Crom. I'm a professor in the Integrative Physiology Department here at the University of Colorado Boulder, and we call this the Locomotion Lab.
Nike knew from internal testing that the Vaporfly was fast, but when they needed someone to check their math, they called Crom. His lab is known for accurately measuring the energy that athletes expend during exercise.
We built this one also ourselves in a machine shop.
Right, I think that should be enough to give you an idea about what it is that Nike did. So essentially, their intention was to break the world record marathon with a 2-hour run, and they just about managed to do so. It was 20-something odd seconds off. So this campaign really created a huge talking point for everyone on social, so everyone interested in running both before and after the event, and it gave an opportunity to produce some high-value, shareable content that really engaged the target audience, runners, which is you and I, to participate in that conversation. And I know to date I still have friends that are talking about this shoe. I think it's such a cool move of their side. So they really nailed keeping the brand in focus, but did it without being salesy. So this campaign is obviously at a big scale and it can't be replicated by everyone, but it still illustrates that by creating a brand rooted strategy with experience in focus, you can really achieve an engaging customer experience. So the second one is from Lap Bible. It's called Trash Island.
Here at Lad Bible, we've come to a decision. We're going to start our own country. Seems a bit ridiculous. Well, it's about to get more so. There's been a huge mucking issue growing over the last 20 years that everyone has conveniently turned a blind eye to. Plastic waste. 8 million tons of plastic get dumped into our oceans every year. There is so much of it that in the North Pacific, there is now an area of trash the size of France. With no one doing anything about this country-sized problem, we thought we would by turning it into an official one. So welcome to the trash aisles. We teamed up with the Plastic Ocean Foundation, and on World Oceans Day, we submitted a Declaration of Independence to the United Nations to seek recognition of the trash aisles as an official country. If we can make it a country, we are protected by the UN's Environmental Charter, which states, all members shall cooperate in a spirit of global partnership to conserve, protect, and restore the health and integrity of the Earth's ecosystem. Which essentially means, by becoming a country, others are obliged to clean us up. We only have 4 criteria we need to hit for the UN to recognise the trash aisles. We need to be able to define a territory. Check. Form a government. Check. Be capable of interacting with others. Check. And lastly, we need a population, which is where you lot step in. Your signatures on our petition will help force the UN to approve our application. Become a citizen of the trash aisles today and help ensure the world's first country made of trash is its last.
There you go. So Trash Island. Obviously here Lad Bible managed to get on the UN's agenda with a mission to clean up the mess. And they did so by encouraging you and I to becoming citizen of Trash Islands, which I think is super cool. So this really shows us how you can own a territory. And in this case, it was already plastic in the environment, to make your creative idea really flourish. And it's also really clever as it speaks into a contemporary topic which is already on many people's minds, so they can really go in and connect emotionally with their audience on this. Last example is super powerful, and you have probably seen many of these logos about on social media channels, and they're all encouraging social distancing. I think it was just fun to bring to the table today. It's a great example because it's simple executions where you can really engage your audience by having a bit of a play around with your logo. So yeah, on a smaller scale. Right, we'll start diving into the experience loop. So essentially, this is a framework that can be applied to any businesses. It has been applied to small startups and used in charities, but it can also be used in big corporations. And you might think that you already have a very well-established brand, and that's all good. But we often find value in doing them regardless, because the world around you obviously changes and the business landscape always changes. So it's a really good framework to go in and assessing what you're doing well and what you're doing not so well. So before we dive into the model, I have made a fictive case study which we've named Canvas Hair. And we use that to work with the model. So Canvas Hair are a brand that are owned by 2 hair experts. They've existed for 20 years, and they have a solid client base which is mainly focused on hairdressers. So they offer a product for hairdressers to soften the customer's hair when they're booking in an appointment to get their colored hair either colored or bleached. So that kind of ensures that your hair won't go dry and frizzy, which is usually a big issue when you do these chemical procedures to your hair. So they mainly sell their product through distributors to salons. They have a main competitor in the market, and some of you guys might actually know them. They're called Olaplex. But there's also strong players such as the L'Oreal's, which is really threatening their brands. So when we sat down with this client, we found some frustrations, which I think is quite common for many businesses. So you might actually be able to relate to some of these. So they said to us, we are scared about competitors and are therefore undergoing a rebranding exercise to show the market that we are the leaders within this specific treatment. And then they said, why aren't enough salons buying our treatment? And they said, we really need customers to talk about our product on social media. And then they said, We want to start to be able to communicate better. And lastly, they said, we tried so many different things, but we're just not really sure about which parts works. So based on this knowledge about who the business are and what are their frustrations, we came up with 4 points which we'd like to achieve. So we'd like to achieve better clearance on their audience and their barriers in the buying process. And when we're talking about audience here, I think it's worth noting that they have the distributors, they're also having the sellers, and they have the end users. So it's 3 different audiences that they're communicating to, but the communication are actually quite different. So we also want to find out what is stopping people from buying and becoming super users. We want to find out what we're currently doing really, really well. And we then want to conclude next steps to incorporate it into our business brand story. Right, so this is the experience loop. And what this model is really good at is to reveal and expose your brand to any pain points or opportunities you need to focus on in order to build a strong brand. So without being super complicated, it really provides you with a structured framework to start leading your team discussion within its topic. So everybody, you avoid the people talking over each other and having an unstructured conversations with no real takeaways. So the idea here is that you have barriers and opportunities, and we then decide to go 2 rounds around the loop. So if we start with inspiration, or maybe first say that on the left hand side we have new users of your product, on the right hand side we have active users of our product. So if you imagine a buying funnel, you will have inspiration will be the very first interaction for potential new user of your product. So I am to book a hair appointment, I need to get my hair colored, I'm finding a hairdresser, and all of a sudden I might get exposed on social media or wherever to this product called canvas hair, and that should be really good to make sure that my hair is not getting dry and frizzy, right? So there'll be something that either sparks an interest or creates a barrier that pulls me off for wanting to find out more about this product. So there's some barriers that we'll have to deal with, and there's some opportunities which the company will start having to look into exploring further or do more of if they do some of them already. Then we move down to considerations, and when you do the consideration, it will be the moment where I'm ready to book in an appointment. I'm not just researching, I'm actually making a decision. I need to get my hair fixed. So do I actually want this canvas hair? It's a yes or no question here. So there would be something talking for it and something talking against it. So again, the barriers versus the opportunities will have to be assessed. Then we're moving to the right side of the model, where we're firstly looking into the validation points. So let's imagine I actually had my hair done with canvas hair in the mixture 8 weeks ago. I'm now due a new hair appointment. I'll then have to make a decision about, do I want to pay for having canvas hair in my mixture one more time? So there will be some barriers here, something that's talking against being me deciding to rebuy. Or there will be some opportunities, something we're doing really, really well, that will encourage me to actually go and say, I want this in my hair the next time. And then the last point is participation. So I will have tried out the product. I actually quite liked it. And if it was a really cool brand, I wouldn't mind interacting with it either. So what's the barriers stopping me as a customer of your brand to interact with your brand? And what's the opportunities and what are you doing well? So that's kind of it. And then I also want to mention that research shows that people who buy a product or service 2 or more times are likely to become a super user of your product. So that's actually where they will start being a participant, and the participant will then go in and create and help making that spark in inspiration for new users. And that's how you see the loop closing, right? And before you start the exercise, I would just keep in mind whether or not you're having a product or service, just because it kind of frames the conversation a little bit. Yeah, and then just before we move on, experience really tells us that a lot of focus happens on new users, and businesses therefore struggle more when we do the exercise with active users. And I'd just like to mention this as a kind of minor warning to everyone, as limited focus on active users will mean that you have a higher than necessary turnover of customers within your business. And I just think that's a really important point. So before I let you all run away back to your businesses and your everyday life, I just want to talk a bit about how to do this in practice, how to set yourself up for success. So when we run these sessions, we usually get a group of 3 to 8 people together, and in a second you'll be able to do it virtually as well. And then you run through the barriers and opportunities. The first one you do barriers, second one you'll do the opportunities exercise. I will suggest that you have different levels of seniority, and I'll actually run this session with trusted suppliers and partners as well, just because they give you another perspective to your business, and it can be a bit of a it's an exciting thing to try and do. So also make sure that you allow enough time for this exercise. So my experience says that it usually actually takes 4 to 6 hours to run through this, and the way you're going to do it, either you're going to hand out post-it notes to everybody in the team. Then you will start out with participation, and you will spend 5 minutes where everybody brainstorms and write their thoughts down around new user participation barriers, and then we hang it up on a wall. And what's then going to happen are that you will start seeing some point will be repeated, something new might occur, but you will quite quickly start seeing patterns, and these patterns you can then group, and you can start creating your action list. And I will usually, once we're done with these actions, there'll be 4 to 8 key areas that you'll focus on. So there'll be some low-hanging fruits that will go and tackle right away, or do more if there's something really good. And then there will be, some of them will be a bit more long-term. Yeah, and then just before you start the exercise, I want to ask yourself, who are we talking to comms-wise, and then what do we want each comms to do? What value does us talking to our comms points provide? So is it driving awareness of sales? And also, what does it look like in the context of experience? And I think I mentioned it before, but we're actually having, again, 3 comms groups for Canvas here. We have distributors, we have hairdressers, and we have our end users. So I would do this exercise 3 times if I was to do a really good job for them. In this seminar, we're just keeping them all together and give us a little bit more to talk about in one go. So this is what it looks like. This would be a barriers. We've divided it into 4 fields, and you can see it's getting bright and colorful, and there's a lot of good stuff coming down to the business there. So the barriers for Canvas here. So the first point we're looking at are our new users. What's the barriers of entry associated when learning about the product for the first time? So I might think that it looks quite expensive, or do I get the value for money, or say it doesn't stand out enough from what I see, so like, why would I want that? Or their website stinks. It's a crowded marketplace, so I could go somewhere else to get it. Or I might have a bit of a misunderstanding around the product, so I think it's only for Brits. I haven't heard about it before, so is it really important? And also, if I'm actually a little bit interested, where can I even get this? Price might come up one more time, just to kind of say that there's a lot of repetition here, which is a good thing. There's no traction on Instagram, and also, what does Canvas refer to? So there's some confusion around the name, like I don't really get it. So that's all the negatives around the brand at the moment. And then we move on to consideration. So what's stopping you when you want to validate whether or not to buy this product? I'm about to book my hair appointment, so I might just conclude for whatever reason that this isn't for me. Again, the price were an issue. I can't afford it at the moment. It might not align with trends, or at least what I perceive as trends, because they didn't hit the head on the nail. Or do I really need this? I might also be one of those people that do my hair dye at home, and there's no home use of this, so therefore it's not really relevant. None of my friends uses it. Why aren't others talking about it, right? So there's such a huge value in reviews. So if that's not there, it's probably not that good. None of the influencers I'm following are using it. It feels a bit old school in the brand. And also, I might trust Olaplex. I know them. They're the market leader. All my friends use that. And then last point, are there any aftercare needed? I don't know. I might be billed something extra I didn't expect when I go to the hairdresser. So that's my consideration barriers. Then we're moving on to our active users. So I have now had my first hair appointment. I'm due my second one. What are my barriers to validating the experience? So I just didn't like the hairdresser. It has absolutely nothing to do with canvas hair, but the hairdressers just didn't do it for me. So therefore they lost you as a customer. There wasn't any home care, which I found to be odd. I didn't get the likes. It's all about likes, right? So where are my compliments? Don't want to buy it again. It didn't last that long. I still don't understand why I need this product. Or the expectations were off. So again, that's back to the storytelling and showing people what they get within your brand. So expectations and outcome. I don't feel I know what I can achieve with my hair. So that's an issue. Or I was simply not offered the product when I booked my appointment. So I don't really like, it's not a thing. So last point is participation. So we're now in a position where we're thinking, I actually quite like this canvas hair, but what are the barriers for me as a customer to participate in the brand? So first of all, I can't buy it on their website. It only speaks to hairdressers. I can't really find much on social media that I find engaging. I'm not going to create any social media content for them. So therefore, I'm not going to talk about it anywhere. I trust my hairdresser. So I might just, go with whatever they say. There's nothing in it for me to engage further. There's no competition. There's no like once you've done this 5 times, you'll get the 6th for free. There's nowhere to talk about it, right? So maybe like a canvas hair club, something. So there's just nothing put in place to help me engage with this brand. I hope that all makes sense. So from all of these points, and I hope you're starting to get the feel of this can get crowded with a lot of things, but you will start to see some barrier trends. And what we found here were that there was low distribution availability. So even though if you spark an interest, it's hard to get it. So that's an issue we will have to tackle. Then there's clarity of proposition. So it was said quite a few times that it seemed old school. So we need to appeal to young at heart with an adventurous mindset, because that has been determined that that's our target audience. There's an educational piece that has to be lifted here. People are not sure about what the product does, so therefore we'll need to figure out how we get that out there. Hairdressers own the relationship, so how can we transfer some of that ownership to us as a brand? Then we have a lot of competitors in the marketplace, so we really need to differentiate, and that talks into the last point, which is we are a small brand. We need to punch above our weight in order to be able to get some bandwidth here on the market. So so we'll have to figure that out. Right, and that leads us to a group exercise. I'll just quickly explain what it is that we are going to do and how we're going to do it. So I'm going to via Zoom, break everybody into 4 different rooms. In the invite, there was a link to a mirror board, but I'm also going to post it in the chat now. So that should work. So if you click on that, we'll all get into a mirror board, and I will just show you what it looks like. There, their idea is that there's 4 breakout rooms. Breakout room number 1 will be talking about inspiration for new users. There's a little bit of a blurb just helping you to get started. So the first one says, think about opportunities we have for creating interest in the product for potential new customers. So hopefully those little thought starters will help you out. And then so forth. So breakout room 2 will do considerations of new users. Breakout room 3 is on validations for active users. And breakout room number 4 is on participation for active users. So this is a board where there is post-it notes. You can click on the post-it notes and then you can type in them. You can also, over here, it says sticky note, actually drag it in And then once I've dragged it in, I can write stuff. Hopefully you can see the writing now. That's how that works. So I suggest that you have a conversation going in the group. There'll be a group lead for each board. I will join in as well. If you have a hard time seeing the board, you can actually move it around. I don't know if I can do it here. You can move the board around, and you can also zoom in and out. So that should help you out for a little bit. We'll spend 6-7 minutes, and then hopefully you can help me out with all the opportunities for Canvas here. Sounded like there was some really good conversation going on in every room, so thank you so much, people, for doing that. It would be good if you don't mind just one from each group, maybe spending 30 seconds just highlighting what you found. Do you mind helping out first? I think, Gunnar, you went group 1.
Yeah, that was Aaron. Aaron, do you give a word, please?
Yes, as a quick summary, I think what might be interesting to highlight is kind of how the product was created, highlighting that it's trying to fulfill an actual need, clearly saying why it's better or why it's different, to justify the price and the quality, and then, you know, any guarantees for safety and quality, and then finally to back it up with the experiences of others. So what happens if I'm unhappy, or what happens actually if I'm very happy, so I can use that to relate to others. Yeah, very good. Thank you so much. Those are all very good points. Group number 2.
I'll take that one.
Right.
There's been a quick question in the chat as well, whether you can zoom in slightly on your computer so that we can.
Of course I can
read.
I can try.
We actually ended in quite an interesting conversation in room 2. We kind of went down the path of talking a lot about how we could make hairdressers ambassadors for the product, because we think that's something that has to be focused on quite strongly in terms of getting the validation from the end buyers, being the users. It's like, if you get that recommendation from your hairdresser, then it's very likely that you will use the product and get a more positive experience with it.
Yep.
It could be done via like training for the hairdressers, or focusing on like success stories from other users, or really focusing on how this product could solve a problem for the end user.
Yeah, it makes sense. So making relatable content where people can start mirroring themselves into it. Yeah. Good. Makes sense. All good points. Group number 3.
Yeah, hello. We also had a very interesting conversation with our group, and Anna from our group will highlight some key findings that we did.
Yeah, hi everyone. We thought about how, like, what will leave a customer with a positive experience and how we get them to buy from us again. So we came up with client engagement, for example, on social media. So active social media presence, also asking opinions on social media, asking our clients for opinions, then personal advising of client, which is always creating this kind of exclusive experience which always brings the client back, and then reminding the client of the benefits of the product and of the service. That's pretty much it.
Okay, so that's really good. I really like the talking to the client and starting to create that bond, also because we know that one of the issues are that that they have the connection with the hairdresser, so that's trying to kind of bypass that and make the relationship with Canvas here. So that's really good. Yeah, last group.
Hi. Okay, just we had a good chat as well. There were lots of ideas flowing in our room. Obviously, there's so many different ways to participate in a brand experience and to feel part of the product. So in terms of networking events is a really good one. Social media influencers, competitions, and really personal word of mouth as well in terms of engaging people and
Yeah, good. Thank you, Dan. I will get us back to here. I'm just aware that we are approaching, we're almost done. There will be a, correct me if I'm wrong here, Dan and Gunnar, a 1 minute silence at 11. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Yes, okay. I'm gonna power through and try and make it. Right, so just really quickly, there are opportunities summarized. So I just wanna bullet point them out. It's what you guys said was just as right as this. But first of all, some clarification on audience. They want to focus on their website and they want to get some more easily digestible content onto that. Also, make sure it doesn't only speak to hairdressers. Then they want to start articulating their brand point of view clearer in a brand film. They want to start doing some how-to videos and some demos. And they want to do some SEO on their website with the intention to get reviews and more conversation out there. They want to start a free sample care plane for people so that they can validate, and then also a Canvas club to create some more active users within that environment. And then next steps. So just want to make sure you have a plan in place for when we leave this meeting shortly. So first of all, remember to get a group together of 3 to 8 people, different areas of seniority, potentially partners. Takes 4 to 6 hours per run per focus area. The 4 questions you don't have to have answered, but just keep them in mind from the checklist when you start. And then obviously Post-it notes. Now you can also use a Miro board to map out the consumer experience, and then start grouping your findings, make a hierarchy, and agree on next steps. And then just quickly want to mention that, or shall I wait with that for 1 second, Gunnar? I'm getting stressed about this 11 o'clock.
I'll break in when it's 11.
Okay, cool. So next week, if you haven't already signed up, I hope some of you guys will do, but the second module will start creating clarification on a brand narrative. So quoting Jeff Bezos, he says, what do people say about your brand when you're not in the room? So storytelling is a powerful tool and a skill any business trying to achieve a long-lasting, powerful brand should master. Storytelling is a means to convey purpose for your business, and when done well, it can do wonders, such as winning loyalty and affection of your customers, because
Jessie,
they clearly understand you. Yeah.
Can we respect 1 minute now, please? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. This was for the United Kingdom. There was a remembrance of the ones who have paid the ultimate price for getting us through the coronavirus, and for that sake, anywhere else around the world. Thank you very much for respecting our 1 minute. Jessie, back to you.
Thank you, Gunnar. Yeah, so just revert back to the what it means to compose your brand narrative. So storytelling is a powerful tool and a skill any business trying to achieve a long-lasting, powerful brand should master. Storytelling is a means to convey purpose for your business, and when done well, it can do wonders, such as winning loyalty and affection of your customers, because they clearly understand your brand vision, mission, and values. So in this webinar, we'll show the power of storytelling in marketing and give you a framework to start forming the story of your business in a structured and intentional way. So the takeaways from this session will be a clear vision and mission statement for your business, strategically assess storyline of your brand, a mapped out narrative that provides you with a clear story to communicate. So remember, we talked about being perceived the same way as what you're saying. Then we want to create an emotionally driven brand story moral to hook in your customers, and then also lastly, it will form as a strategic foundation for building your brand platform, which is where you start building all your communication from. So that's essentially it. Yeah, don't forget to sign up, and thank you so much for joining. It was a real pleasure to have everybody on board.
Thank you very much, Jessie, for a very good seminar here today. For anyone who are listening here today, if you have some immediate comments or feedback to Jessie, please, while I round up, use the chat here now and let her know. On behalf of the Norwegian British Chamber of Commerce, the Finnish British Chamber of Commerce, and the Danish-UK Association, I'd really like to thank you all very much for participating, and Jessie for her input today. We will, in a few moments, be emailing out a brief questionnaire to you all. Please take a moment to respond back on it. It's really appreciated and helps us to help you back again for what is next in vogue. This event was recorded, and it will be sent out and shared with all of you who attended here today. And please do feel free to share as you feel others could benefit from it as well. And then Jessie, she left a slide here on the screen now, just highlighting some events coming up. There's already this week a follow-on from a Goodwill webinar we did a couple of weeks back on HR matters. Then Jessie will be back as part of her series in workshops on craft a powerful brand narrative that wins customer loyalty. Then, slightly related, by Novicel, we will look at international SEO, how to expand your customer base globally once you have a good narrative. And then we will be followed on a few days after with a how to supercharge your social media through this pandemic by Advice. And there is so much more other events coming up of beer tasting, virtual beer tasting with real beer, believe me. And there's also events hosted by fellow members, and those can be found on our respective websites for the three organizing chambers, associations here. So with this, thank you very much again, Jessie. Thank you very much, everyone, to listening. And with that, I'd like to say goodbye to all of you and have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Goodbye.